Soft jazz music plays in the background, and the chandeliers glow with a soft light. Wealthy guests are sipping expensive wine, enjoying the atmosphere. This isn't just any restaurant, it's one of the most exclusive places in Hollywood. The guests are all wearing designer clothes, fancy jewelry, and acting as if they own the world. Among them, a woman walks in, Claire Danvers. She doesn't stand out in the way others do. She isn't dressed in a flashy designer dress, doesn't have diamonds sparkling around her neck, and there is no fur coat draped over her shoulders. There's no large entourage following her around either. She's wearing a simple but elegant outfit. She isn't trying to show off. She's just here for dinner. The waiter, tall and well-dressed, takes one look at her. His eyes scan her quickly. Something about her makes him feel uncomfortable. He smirks slightly, and it's almost as if he is sizing her up. It's strange to him that someone would walk into this place without trying to show off their wealth. Most people who come here want to show that they belong, they want to be seen and admired for their success. But Claire, she seems different. She seems humble. She just wants a nice meal. But what happens next is something that no one in the restaurant will ever forget. It's a moment that will shock everyone. Have you ever been in a situation where someone judged you unfairly? If so, hit the like button right now. And if you want to hear more incredible stories about humble legends in Hollywood, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, you're going to want to hear it. The waiter glances over at a couple sitting nearby. They are clearly very wealthy. The man in the suit has a smug look on his face, and the woman next to him is wearing a dress so expensive it could probably pay for an entire year of college. The waiter leans toward Claire and with an exaggerated politeness he speaks. "Madam, this might not be the kind of place you're looking for." Claire looks at him, confused. "Excuse me," she says. The waiter smiles, but it's not a kind smile. "Our menu is quite expensive. Maybe I can recommend something more affordable for you?" he says with a hint of condescension in his voice. The rich couple nearby laughs at the waiter's words. The man raises an eyebrow and watches with a look of amusement. Claire's smile fades, but she doesn't argue. She knows what this feels like. She's been in this moment before. It's the moment when people assume they are better than you just because of how you look or where you're from. People judge you before they even know your name. But Claire doesn't fight back. She doesn't raise her voice. She simply nods politely, letting the waiter think that she's just a quiet, humble woman who doesn't belong in a fancy place like this. But that's when the waiter makes a huge mistake. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's put her in her place. And he decides to push further. "If you want, I can check if we have a children's menu," he says with a mocking smile. The entire restaurant erupts into soft laughter. The rich couple laughs the loudest. Claire doesn't react. She just looks down for a moment, her fingers resting gently on the edge of the table. The waiter thinks he has won. He believes that Claire is embarrassed and that he's put her where she belongs. But what he doesn't realize is that someone else in the restaurant is watching him. Someone who's about to change everything. It's Keanu Reeves sitting at a table in the corner. He has been watching everything closely. His glass of wine remains untouched. His expression is calm, unreadable. And then in a low, steady voice, Keanu speaks. "That's enough." The entire restaurant goes silent. The waiter's smirk fades and his face turns pale. The laughter stops. Everyone in the restaurant freezes, looking toward the source of the voice. Everyone knows that voice. Everyone knows that face. It's Keanu Reeves. And when Keanu speaks, people listen. The waiter stands frozen. He doesn't know what to do. The rich couple looks uncomfortable. The entire room feels the shift in the atmosphere. Claire didn't say anything. She didn't fight back. But now Keanu Reeves is involved. And no one wants to get on the wrong side of Keanu. He's not someone who likes to make a scene, but when he does, you know it's serious. The waiter tries to regain his composure. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to." Keanu interrupts him with a simple question. "Do you know who you're talking to?" The waiter's confidence completely shatters. He looks at Claire and then back at Keanu. He stammers, I don't think I." Keanu's tone isn't angry, but it's filled with disappointment. He slowly stands up, adjusting his jacket. His presence fills the entire room, and it's clear that this is a moment no one will forget. "That's the problem," Keanu says calmly. The rich couple who had been laughing earlier now shift uncomfortably. They don't know what to do. Everyone in the restaurant can feel the tension. The waiter suddenly realizes that he might have just ruined his career. But Keanu isn't done yet. He hasn't exposed Claire's true identity yet, and he hasn't yelled at the waiter. So what's he going to do next? Claire sits quietly, her fingers lightly touching the edge of the table. She could speak up. She could tell the waiter how rude he's been. But she doesn't. She stays silent. And in that moment the scene shifts. We see a young girl sitting alone on a school bench. She looks down at her worn-out shoes while the other kids run around, laughing and playing. A group of girls walks up to her. "Why do you talk like that?" one of them asks. "You sound so weird." The young girl looks down, wanting to explain. She wants to tell them that her dad is in the military, that they move a lot, and that she doesn't get to make real friends. But before she can say anything, the girls laugh and walk away. She stays silent because she learned something that day. When people see you as different, they don't listen. They just judge. And sometimes silence hurts less than fighting back. The scene fades back to the restaurant. Claire blinks, remembering the past. She looks at Keanu and now she understands. Keanu isn't just standing up for her. He's standing up for every version of her that was ever ignored or judged. He's standing up for the little girl who was laughed at, for every moment in her life where she was made to feel less than. Claire's silence is no longer just about avoiding conflict. It's about waiting. Waiting for Keanu to do something that will make everything right. The waiter, now sweating, shifts nervously. He still doesn't know who Claire is, but he knows he's made a huge mistake. Keanu continues to look at him without breaking eye contact. Then, in a calm voice, he asks, "What's the most expensive dish on your menu?" The waiter blinks. That would be the platinum steak, sir." "How much is it?" Keanu asks. "It's $5,000, sir," the waiter answers. The rich couple smirks, thinking Keanu is about to show off his wealth. But Claire knows better. This isn't about money. Keanu reaches into his jacket and pulls out a sleek black credit card. He taps it on the table and says, "I'll take 2. The waiter looks confused. "Sir, 2? Keanu repeats, "1 for me and 1 for her." When the whole restaurant realizes that Keanu isn't just buying a meal, but is making a statement, the waiter's hand shakes a little as he scribbles down the order. He rushes to the kitchen, but when he comes back, Keanu is already pulling out a chair. It's not for himself, it's for the waiter to sit down. Keanu says, "Sit down?" The waiter stares at him wide-eyed, not sure what to do. Keanu looks at him and says calmly, "Sir, you serve expensive food every day, right? You must know what it tastes like." The waiter is nervous. The rich guests in the restaurant lean in, eager to see what will happen next. Claire Danvers, a famous actress, watches quietly. She knows this is more than just a meal. Keanu is about to teach a lesson that no one in this room will forget. Keanu had ordered the most expensive meal, but now he wants the waiter to sit down with them. What? Is it a lesson in humility, or is Keanu trying to teach him something even more important? The waiter stands frozen. His face is pale and his hands shake a little. Why is Keanu asking him to sit? The other guests are whispering among themselves. The restaurant manager stands in the distance, looking worried and confused. The waiter forces a nervous chuckle and says, "Sir, I can't sit at the customer's table." Keanu tilts his head slightly and asks, "Why not?" The waiter shifts his weight and clears his throat. "It's just not meant for someone like me, sir." Keanu's lips curl into a knowing smile. "Exactly," he says softly. The waiter freezes because now he finally understands. The words he spoke earlier, those words he had said to Claire Danvers, one of the most famous actresses in the world, are coming back to him. He had told Claire that she didn't belong in this restaurant, that she wasn't good enough. But now, Keanu is showing him that maybe, just maybe, the waiter doesn't belong either. The room suddenly feels smaller. The heat from the chandeliers above makes the waiter feel uncomfortable. For the first time, he tastes his own arrogance. It doesn't sit well with him. His pride, his rudeness, everything he thought about people like Claire, is staring him in the face. The kitchen doors swing open, and 2 perfectly grilled, platinum steaks are carefully placed on the table in front of Keanu and Claire. The plates gleam, decorated with gold cutlery and silver platters. The rich guests lean forward, eager to see what happens next. What will the waiter do? How will he react? Keanu gently pushes one plate toward Claire. The other he slides in front of the waiter. "Eat," Keanu says. The waiter's hands shake as he stares at the $5,000 meal in front of him. "I can't," he says nervously. Keanu asks again, his voice calm and steady, "Why not?" The waiter gulps. "Because it's too expensive? I don't deserve this." Keanu leans in slightly, his eyes not leaving the waiter's face. "And yet, you decided Claire didn't deserve it either." The waiter swallows hard. His throat feels dry. The whole room is silent now. The weight of Keanu's words hangs in the air. Claire watches quietly, understanding that this is the kind of lesson that doesn't need shouting or insults. It just needs the waiter to see what he's done wrong. And now he's looking at his own mistake in a way that no one can ignore. The entire restaurant is watching. The rich guests, the staff, the manager, they are all waiting to see what the waiter will do. Will he finally learn from his mistake? Or will his pride keep him from seeing the truth? The waiter looks down at the meal in front of him again. He can feel the eyes of everyone on him. His face turns red with embarrassment. He understands now what Keanu was doing. He realizes that he was rude to Claire for no reason. He humiliated her, and now he is the one who is being humiliated. Claire, the woman he mocked, has not said a word until now. She gently places her fork down and looks directly at the waiter. Her voice is calm, without anger or hatred. "You didn't think I belonged here," Claire says quietly. "You thought I didn't deserve this." The waiter lowers his head, unable to look her in the eye. She continues, her tone soft but full of meaning. "But let me ask you something. Would you have treated me differently if you had known who I was?" The waiter stops. He doesn't know how to respond. The room goes completely silent. A few guests start to whisper among themselves. One man pulls out his phone and stares at the screen wide-eyed. "Wait a minute," he says. "Is that Claire Danvers?" Another guest gasps. "Oh my God, that's her. The actress from Gravity and Speed. No way." The whispers start to spread quickly. People pull out their phones to search for more information. The whispers turn into murmurs. The restaurant that once looked down on Claire now sees her as a Hollywood legend. She is no longer just a woman in simple clothes. She's a star. And the waiter, the one who treated her poorly, is now feeling the weight of his mistake. The waiter's breathing becomes shallow. His body feels stiff. The people who laughed with him earlier now look at him with disappointment. The rich guests, the ones who were on his side before, now see him as the fool he really is. His biggest mistake wasn't just being rude to a customer, it was being rude to the wrong person. Claire gives a small smile, a quiet and knowing smile. "But that's the thing," she says softly. "It shouldn't matter who I am. It's not about who someone is, it's about how you treat people when you think they're nobody." The room falls silent again. Claire stands up, her eyes fixed on the waiter. "It's not about who someone is. It's about how you treat them when you think they're nothing." She turns to leave. Keanu watches her, and then he looks back at the waiter. The poor man is still shaking. Keanu gives him one last look, one filled with disappointment. "You should be thankful for this lesson," Keanu says quietly. "Not everyone gets a second chance." Then Keanu stands up and follows Claire out of the restaurant, leaving behind a room full of silent, regretful people. The waiter sinks into the chair, his hands gripping his apron tightly. Today he didn't just lose a tip. He lost something much more important, his dignity. But the real question is, will he change because of this? Outside, a light drizzle begins to fall. Claire and Keanu walk side by side, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement. Claire breathes out a small laugh. "You didn't have to do that," she says, looking at Keanu. Keanu chuckles. "Yeah, but you would have done it for yourself." Claire looks at him for a moment. "You always do this, don't you?" Keanu smiles. "Do what?" "Stand up for the underdog." Keanu tilts his head slightly. "Isn't that what we're supposed to do?" Claire glances back at the restaurant, then says, "You know, it's funny. People only care about who you are when they realize what you can do for them." She turns back to Keanu. "But the ones who really matter, they treat you with respect from the start." Keanu nods, understanding. "And those are the people worth keeping." They share a moment of silent understanding, looking at the glowing city in front of them. Then, with one last glance at the lights of the city, they walk into the night. They didn't just teach a lesson that night, they reminded everyone of something important. How we treat others matters no matter who they are. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories filled with adventure, mystery, and excitement. Your support means the world, and it helps keep these stories coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.